You do the crime, you pay the price. Spider-Man. That's me.
Hey guys, did you know that I like Spider-Man? I may think most of the MCU and a lot of Marvel content is hot garbage, but I've always loved the character of Spider-Man. I think the idea of being a good person no matter how difficult things in life may get, and no matter how hard being a good person might get, I think I said that right, it's always best to be one. It's a very good moral value to try and promote. Except when they don't. I also like the idea of him being miserable. That sounds really bad. I like seeing his personal struggles and how he is always able to get back from them no matter what. But do you guys know what I like more than morals? Well, a lot of things. But one of those things being video games. Marvel's Spider-Man is one of my favorite games of all time. But before you burn me at the stake, please remember that I never played any of the Witcher, Diablo, or Skyrim games. Also, I never beat Portal 2. Okay, you could burn me now. The characterization of Peter is, in my opinion, one of the best we've ever gotten. And the story, for one, being really f***ing cool, but also making a great balance of being emotional but also really funny at certain points. And the story itself is, in my opinion, one of the greatest Spider-Man stories I've ever seen. Oh, wait, never mind. Internet guy said it was disastrous storytelling. This game actually helped me get into more story-driven games like Uncharted and The Last of Us, just because I was able to see that a story slowly playing out as you play is super cool. And what I love about this game is that I think it does a really good job at letting you play at your own pace. Like, I think everything you do is spaced apart really well. This game essentially works in a way where you have to go to one area, fight some people, or do some other thing, like do a puzzle or infiltrate a facility without being seen. Or then you're given some information or a call from someone hinting at where to go next. So let's say you do a small part in the story but don't feel like going any further. Well, you can just do some side things to take a break from the story. And speaking of some side things to do in the game, first there are numerous side missions which add extra depth in the things that happen in the game. Like when Martin Lee infects people with his mind control stuff at a Halloween party and Peter has to use an antidote for the infected. Well, there's a few side missions in the game which show you what happened to some of the people that either had delayed symptoms or weren't given the antidote. It's just such a cool way to show that these things have genuine side effects in the real world, in the game, and really immerses you inside of the world. Were the side missions for this very fun? No. But that's besides the point. This is actually one of the games that I've actually bothered 100%. You know what I got? This. It was worth it. We ended up getting a sort of sequel/spin-off of the game starring Miles Morales, and working as a continuation of his origin in the first game, but we're actually getting a full sequel soon and I couldn't be more excited. So I wanted to give a wish list of things I want added into this game, or some things they could improve on in the game. So let's talk about that. The first thing I want to talk about is an 11-year-old game. In The Amazing Spider-Man from 2012, we got some DLC where you're able to play some of the villains, and Stan Lee, and one of the villains' DLC was literally just Space Invaders. This is a weird time.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna tweet about this.
This was a very cool concept, and having a hopefully playable Venom, I would love to see this idea come back once the game finishes. I understand that they'll probably kill Venom or something by the end of the game, but in the first game you're still able to enter Octavius Industries after he goes to prison at the end of the game, so I feel like they could just let us have some fun. I would love to be able to fight crimes around the city while playing as Venom rather than Peter or Miles, so I really hope they allow us to have some fun with Venom, even if it makes no sense. But speaking of having two playable Spider-Men, let's talk about them. Being able to play as both Miles and Peter is awesome, so I think it'd be very cool to allow us to switch between them on the fly during free roam in the game. Of course, if they're split up during certain story parts, you won't be able to switch between them, but I hope once you've beat the game and the main story is over, you can switch between them whenever you want. Like, let's say if there's a crime and you don't feel like doing some of Peter's specific abilities, well then you can switch to Miles and you can use his shock ability. And of course, if you want to be more stealthy during a base, if they bring those back, then you can just switch to Miles and use his invisibility. One thing I hope for having two different Spider-Men is that they don't make Peter useless. Now, I like Miles in these games, I really do, but the adaptation of Peter is one of my personal favorites, which makes me way more emotionally invested in him. Of course, in the main story, Peter will have the symbiote suit, which will later become Venom using Harry in the game, but I don't think they would have Peter keep the symbiote suit once he loses it in the story, and without Venom, Peter's essentially Miles with less powers. So what I think they should do is give Peter more gadgets, suit abilities, and moves that Miles won't have, just to differentiate the both of them and not alienate Peter, but he will be alienated in the story because, you know, the symbiote. I'm funny, guys, right? I'm funny. It's been confirmed that both Miles and Peter will both have their own separate missions in the game, which I think is a really good opportunity to show both of these characters' strengths. What I mean is to use these missions as a way to show what character is best for what. Like how Miles would be best for a stealth mission, but Peter would be best for overall combat. One of the weakest parts of the first game is that once you've beat all of the game, the only thing left to do is the many side things to do in the game. But a lot of the things that you do are just locating an item, the million Harry research labs, which just amount to Harry telling you something over a pre-recorded message and you do that thing, or the billion damn damn crimes in the game. Just get rid of these. Don't make me do all the crimes again. But I think we all know what would make the extra content better for this game. Give the excuse of Peter being in the symbiote suit to brutally f***ing kill Screwball. Insomniac, we all beg of you. What I hope the sequel does give us is much more expansive endgame content. Like, you know how I was saying how I love the side quests because a lot of them just expand upon the story? Just do more of that. Just don't do the ones where you have to locate people using the clues on the picture. I don't like those. I think it goes without saying that I hope the things like swinging, combat, and stealth should be greatly added upon. But those are just some things that I wanted to see. But there is one more thing I want to talk about. In a previous video, I had stated that it was confirmed that Spider-Man 2 would have a co-op mode. I said this because the guy who voices Miles said that it was confirmed in an interview, but then like a day later Insomniac went on Twitter and said, hey, we aren't doing that, please still buy our game. But I think not having a co-op mode is a huge missed opportunity because that could be awesome. I don't think having multiplayer during the story is a good idea because, well, I'm not explaining that. But having some specific things to do as two Spider-Men could be awesome. Like, imagine a challenge mode or like a race across the city. And I mean, imagine if you could swing around New York wearing your favorite suit in the game with your best friend. Only problem is, I would need a friend. Hey there. If anyone's wondering what suits I think should be added for this game, well, I don't know much about a lot of Spider-Man media outside of the movies and some of the shows, but I think adding things like the Captain Universe Spider-Man suit could be really cool. And obviously suits like Andrew's suit from The Amazing Spider-Man 2's, Tom's new suit from the end of No Way Home, and Miles' Halloween costume suit from Into the Spider-Verse. And I think they need to reward people who played the original game by allowing you to get extras from your original save file into the sequel. What I mostly want are your suits and suit powers to be carried over, but the other stuff I could care less about. Some people say that all the old suits should be available from the start, but I think doing it this way would be a lot cooler. This would possibly give Insomniac a ton more money, because many people might want to get a suit from the first game to the second, so they'd buy the Spider-Man PS4 Miles Morales game to get one of these. I think the story suits from the first game, like the upgraded Classic and Black Cat suit, should all be carried over into the new one, no matter if you played the first one or not, of course. You could say that doing this would be gatekeeping content from new players, but come on, if you were playing a game called Marvel's Spider-Man 2, you probably at least played the first one too. And of course, I'm trying to think realistically here, because do you really think they should just give us all the suits from the first game from the very start? And come on, man. A way to make even more money from this game, why would they not do this? Of course, I wouldn't be saying this if I hadn't unlocked all the suits in the first game. But of course, there is one original suit I'd like to be put in the new one. Spider Coil.